Gardner, Kansas. We will call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome everyone. We have no presentations or public hearings, so we can go right to public comments. Members of the public are welcome to use this time to make comments about city matters or items on the agenda that are not part of a public hearing. If you wish to come forward, please limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. There is a time clock to your left. Please state your name and address for the record, and the podium is now open. Go ahead. Please come forward.
Good evening. My name is Patrick King, and I live over on 83rd Terrace. And I was told that this was that I could bring this concern of mine about a traffic concern to this meeting. Am I correct, sir?
Yes.
Okay. My concern is at the intersection of Central and Cherokee Road. 18-wheelers seem to be going up and down this road, Cherokee Road, quite a bit. They cannot make the left or right-hand turn off of Central Road. And actually, that road is well marked with no truck signs, but they still use it. And just this past Thursday, I was almost in an accident from an 18-wheeler trying to make a left-hand turn on there. The road is just not big enough. And I'm going to say it again. It is well marked that it says no trucks. It is monitored by the police excuse me, every now and then, but it's not monitored enough. And I'm not pointing any fingers at anybody, sir, on that. But as a safety issue, that's why I'm bringing this up. In general, in my opinion, it's either a city ordinance or a law is broken quite often because of this. And so that's why I'm here this evening and just bringing that to your all's attention. It's a safety issue, if you will. So that's really all I have to say. And I don't know if anybody has any questions for me or.
We typically don't do a back and forth question, but we can discuss it at the end of the meeting during council.
Okay, and I almost decided not to come this evening, saying, maybe I'll just let things go, be bygones, bygones. But FedEx truck went down that road. Now, they were heading to the intermodal, which is another subject on that, but, again, the law is being broken, the city ordinance is being broken, whatever word you want to use. And I just think as a safety issue, something should be done about that. So again, I just leave that to the city council. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I think it's unfair to only give me 5 minutes. It's going to take me 5 minutes to introduce myself. My name is John Allen. Hello, David. He's already experienced part of my discussion, but it goes much further than that, David, than what you heard. I was at the Planning Commission and thought the Planning Commission ought to be in on this so that everybody associated with the city of Gardner. I live at 830 South Sycamore Street, and in my opinion, is the most unhealthiest area in the entire city. There are 5 to 6 ponds less than 2 miles from my house. The mosquito is the most deadliest creature on earth. It has been around since the Jurassic Park area, when the Jurassic Park was started. That's over 210 million years ago. That's why it's considered the most deadliest. The reason is it carries a parasite that causes malaria. It also causes encephalitis. It also creates additional health issues, and there are over 3,500 species of mosquitoes. Here in the United States, there's 175 species that we know of. Now, the one that we have to worry about is called the salt marsh mosquito. It travels up to 40 miles, and it usually bites at night. The Asian tiger mosquito only travels a few hundred feet, and it bites all day long. I was working in my own garage today on the lawnmower, and I was bitten 3 times. And one, I don't want to really tell you where it was. Now, it's one thing to say that this is a real serious problem. And I hate it when somebody comes up and says, well, you've got a problem, when they do not have an answer. I have the solution for you. I want a mandate through a city ordinance that anyone who has water on their property within the city limits has to treat that water at least once a month from May through October. Has to treat it. Let's just say that they don't. Let's say that the city has to treat it. One of the ways you can treat it very, very easily is you can have an employee wear one of these. What you don't know about me is I was in polymer chemistry for the DuPont Corporation out of Wilmington, Delaware. This suit is made out of Tyvek. Tyvek is a plastic which developed by Paul Carruthers in 1935. You are all wearing something on your body right now called nylon that was developed by the DuPont Corporation. If you've been to the hospital, you had x-rays. That film was developed by the DuPont Corporation. You'll say, well, what did you do for DuPont? If you drive a car and it's got a new fancy finish on it called a pearl finish, that's my claim to fame. We developed that back in the mid-'80s, and it went on Cadillacs and everything like that. I was on the team that developed that. I also have a patent for a color. It's the lime green that we used to put on fire trucks. Well, getting back to solving our problem, there is a product if we actually go to a professional called permethrin, which you can use to treat those ponds on mosquitoes. The problem is it does not take care of the larvae. So you have to do it over and over and over again. One of the things, if let's say the city has to do it, again, I bought this suit for $9.99. You can buy them in bulk. This is isopropyl alcohol, 70%. Okay? You can buy it in Walmart, any other little store at all that sells drugs. Okay? You can do exactly the same thing as that professional can do with this product right here. And you can buy it by the barrel for what you have to pay a professional to do it. Now, the answer is, well, we don't know if we can do this. I am not going to go away, I can tell you that right now. I am not going to go away. I want this treated. I live in a very nice subdivision. If, for some reason, you end up telling me and sending me a note telling me you will not do this, I guarantee you I am going to sell my house and move out of Gardner. I don't need to live there. Not with this kind of situation. When we come in on that first
So
road,
I'm going to have to, we're at that 5-minute limit. So
on 186th Street,
You're gonna have to
there is
wrap it
a
up.
pond right there that is totally covered with algae. Totally.
Ms.
That
Allen,
is
Mr. Allen,
only about 3 blocks away from my house.
And we've talked about this a little bit. already, and I think we can talk about it afterwards, but I do think that we'll have something to
Okay.
move forward with.
Again, all I want to do is make you aware.
I appreciate that.
And I also wanted to come up with a solution for you, so you can't just scratch your head and go, well, he didn't say what the heck we should do about it. And I hate people that do that. If they don't have a solution, don't bring up the problem.
I appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Rick.
Thank
It's
you.
not
brother.
fair.
Thank you, sir.
You can have that, so you can check the sizes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Good evening. I'm Ashley Montgomery. I live at 1027 East Cottage Creek Circle here in Gardner. I'm not sure I can top that. This is my first time attending a city council meeting and speaking at a city council meeting. I was encouraged to come forward, and I'm here because I care about our community. While this topic is not on tonight's agenda, I'm speaking not only for myself, but on behalf of the many residents who are growing increasingly frustrated by the number of solicitors in our neighborhoods, many of whom are blatantly disregarding the rules the city already has in place. My family posted a no soliciting sign a year ago to date, right above our Ring doorbell camera, hoping to avoid these unwanted visits. Unfortunately, our sign has done little to deter solicitors. In fact, I find it a tad bit ironic that just today, Primo from NES Panel Services stopped by my house. He was very polite. As soon as I opened up the door, I pointed to our sign, and I explained to him that solicitors are a problem in Gardner. He apologized for bothering me and went on his way. However, like many of my neighbors, we have experienced solicitors showing up outside of the permitted hours, refusing to take no for an answer, and even being deceptive about why they're there. These encounters can feel not only intrusive, but at times unsafe. I worked for many years as a federal public servant and understand how important it is to have written policies, but also policies that are enforced. I'm someone who believes in following the rules, but also seeking solutions as well. So I respectfully ask these questions. Is our current municipal ordinance still serving the needs of Gardner residents? Could the city and law enforcement explore more effective ways to address repeated or aggressive solicitors? And has Gardner become an easy target because we don't currently require permits or enforce violations? After reviewing the city policy and communicating with many other residents, I'd like to offer a few possible suggestions. 1, reinstate a permit requirement, not just a name, but with clear expectations and accountability. Businesses should register with the city and acknowledge the solicitation ordinances and understand that violations will result in citations and or fines. Require city-issued badges. Those should be required to be worn and visible for residents to verify legitimacy and reduce concerns about scams. Promote a clear and accessible method for reporting violations. I recently learned about these guidelines, and many other residents are not aware of them. So a renewed communication effort could be helpful, such as through refrigerator magnets, inserting in the utility bills, or reminders in the Inside Gardner newsletter. I know there's the reminder about solicitors, but how to report those violations is not included in there. Establish escalating penalties for those companies or individuals who repeatedly break the rules. One violation is frustrating, but those repeat offenses show disregard and should carry stronger consequences. Also, distribute standardized no soliciting signs to residents at no cost, printed with the relevant municipal code. This would create consistency across the Gardner neighborhoods. Also, reevaluate the permitted solicitation hours. Many families are interrupted while fixing dinner, after putting their children to bed, and so it's worth revisiting whether that current time window is still appropriate. That said, the larger concern is that some solicitors are ignoring these permitted hours altogether, which points to an enforcement issue as much as a policy one. Also, limit how often solicitors can return to the same residence in a given time frame. And lastly, include regular ordinance reminders to permitted companies, even as part of the renewal process. This issue goes beyond inconvenience and annoyance. It speaks to respect, safety, and a peace of mind. When a resident displays a no soliciting sign, they should be able to trust that their boundaries are respected and taken seriously, not to feel uncertain about whether they'll be disrupted. Gardner should not be perceived as an easy target due to our lax or inconsistently enforced policies. Thank you for your time, for your service to Gardner, and for considering these ideas. I truly appreciate the opportunity to speak, and I look forward to seeing Gardner continue to grow into a safer, more peaceful, and more respectful place to live. Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you, Ms. Montgomery. Any other public comment? All right, thank you. Those good public comments tonight. Appreciate that feedback. Okay, so we will move to consent agenda. Is there an item on the consent agenda council would like to remove? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion Shute, second McNear. We approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, abstained, consent agenda passes. Planning and zoning, is there anyone like to remove that item for further discussion? Is there a motion to approve the planning and zoning consent?
So moved.
Second.
Motion McNear, second Shute. We approve the planning and zoning consent. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, abstained, planning and zoning consent passes. No committee recommendations, no old business. Move to new business. New business item number 1, consider adopting a resolution amending a certain schedule of fees and charges as allowed in Title II of the Gardner Municipal Code.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. During the 2025 session, the Kansas Legislature passed House Bill 2134, which makes several changes to Kansas open records law. Pertinent to the proposed resolution before you tonight are statutory changes and clarifications regarding the charges municipalities may assess for the fulfillment of Kansas Open Records Act, better known as KORA, request. The proposed resolution updates the City of Gardner's KORA-related fees to align with fee allowances under the updated statute. The purpose of these changes is not to generate revenue, but to provide a means of reimbursement for the actual cost incurred by the city when fulfilling KORA requests, particularly those which are large and/or complex and consume significant staff time and other city resources. These proposed changes help to ensure such requests are being paid for by the individual making the request rather than subsidized by taxpayers via the general fund. Specifically, the updated fees allow the city to charge for 1, staff time and actual cost, less benefits, after the first 15 minutes. 2, review and redaction by legal counsel at actual cost, if such review and redaction are necessary. And 3, retrieval of boxes from the archives, again at actual cost. The previous charge for staff time was based on an hourly average and consistently resulted in undercharging when compared to actual cost. The city previously could not charge for review by legal counsel, resulting in the city paying associated attorney fees in their entirety when such review was necessary. The city does currently charge for retrieval of boxes from the archives at actual cost, so there is no change to this portion. Updates to the statute to also allow requesters to obtain an itemized statement of cost incurred and subsequently charged, and directs public agencies such as the city to make reasonable efforts to work with requesters to mitigate cost when requests will take more than 5 hours to fulfill or will exceed $200 in fulfillment charges. Finally, please note that staff's current practice is to direct requesters to the information readily available to the public at no cost on the city's website whenever such information meets the parameters of the request. Such requests, along with simple requests which take less than 15 minutes to complete, comprise the majority of KORA requests received by staff.
Thank you. Is there any public comment for new business item number 1? Council, do you have any questions or concerns?
For reference, how many core requests have we had that took more than 15 minutes in, let's say, last year?
Renee, can you help to answer that?
Probably 10.
Okay.
Those aren't making significant Were those more than 10 hours of time?
Probably only one was.
Thank you.
And the city's not profiting off of this, they're
No.
just recouping our costs, so I see it as a.
It's just recouping costs on this. And it's not a huge impact, there's not that many that are over 10 hours.
And we give the requester a estimate of charges to let them choose if
Correct.
they want to move forward or not. So-
That is correct, yes.
And virtually every municipality out there has a schedule of fees for reimbursement of core request, matters, or Freedom of Information Act. So this is right in line.
Is there a motion then?
So moved.
Second.
Motion Deaton, second McNear. We adopt resolution 2175, a resolution amending a certain schedule of fees and charges as allowed in Title II of the Gardner Municipal Code.
Councilmember Deaton.
Yes.
Councilmember Wee.
Yes.
Councilmember Shute.
Yes.
Councilmember McNear.
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin.
Yes.
Resolution 2175 passes. New business item number 2, consider authorizing the city administrator to execute a purchase agreement for the sale of land for Evergy Emerald Substation Project. Gone.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. In 2024, during the initial conversation with Evergy for the interconnection point for Substation 4, they expressed an interest in building their own substation. That led to a memorandum of agreement which was signed on June 3rd, 2024 between City of Gardner and Evergy. The original square footage was 214,417 square feet for the future distribution facility. During the last, on the current Alta survey indicates that the track is a little bigger, it's 229,703. The sale of the Emerald substation, which is Evergy, has been negotiated as part of the Gardner substation project. And city recommends the acceptance of the compensation produced via the appraisal and negotiation in the amount of $150,132.68 for the sale of the tract to Evergy.
Okay, thank you, Gons. Is there any public comment for new business item number 2? Council, do you have questions or concerns about this item?
No.
Is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Second.
Motion Shute, second McNear. We authorize the city administrator to execute a land purchase contract with Evergy for the sale of 229,703 square feet of land to Evergy for the Emerald Substation Project in the amount of $150,132.68. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? New business item number 2 passes. Hans, you're up again. New business item number 3. Consider a recommendation to purchase steel for substation 4 CIP project EL4005.
Due to the extended lead time for the equipment and material for Substation 4 construction, Olson and the city began procurement in early 2024. This is the second to last procurement for materials. This is for the steel that support all the equipment at the substation. So we issued an invitation for bid. 3 companies responded: SAS, Valmont, and MVA. MVA submitted the lowest cost. After technical review and reference checks and risk analysis, Olson determined that they did not consider MVA to be the responsible and responsive bidder, as they were unable to independently verify performance, longevity, and quality of the galvanized process. There's a letter attached from Olson with a little more detail, but basically they did not recommend MVA, although they were the cheapest. So they were basically disqualified.
Then they recommended Valmont. They're a leader in the industry with a proven track record. So we went with Valmont during the purchase of good agreement negotiation. They refused to sign the agreement, and they wanted for us to adopt their terms and conditions. And I told them to go ahead, approach them again, that if they were serious in getting this job, that they should put effort in negotiating. They came back and said no. With NBA disqualified and Valmont choosing not to proceed, Olson has recommended selecting SAS. So we're recommending we're approving, or we recommend or support Olson's recommendation.
Thank you, Gons. Is there any public comment for new business item number 3? Council, do you have a question?
Sounds like we don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that Valmont did that. I mean, they bid on the project and then they turned around and said they wouldn't agree to the terms. Why did they bid in the first place if that's the case?
They wanted their terms.
Oh,
That's what City Attorney Ryan Denk said. Hey, terms and conditions of the bid was for them to sign the purchase agreement, and they refused.
exactly. Okay.
Okay, do I hear a motion then?
So moved.
Second.
Motion McNear, second Deaton. We authorize the city administrator to execute a contract with SAS in the amount of $260,413.33, including sales tax for the purchase of substation 4 steel CIP project EL4005. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? New business item number 3 passes. Thank you,
Thank you.
Gons. New business item number 4, consider adopting a resolution approving the execution and delivery of a development agreement for a development project within the city, Clare Crossing. Mr. Wolf.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Clare Crossing LLC has requested the use of a community improvement district, a special benefit district, industrial revenue bonds with sales tax exemption, and construction materials for a new mixed-use development generally located southeast of the intersection of 175th Street and Clare Road. The city has engaged Baker Tilly to conduct a but-for test on the request for incentives. Tom Calico is here tonight and has a presentation for you.
Let's see. Somebody gonna bring the presentation up, or do I do that?
the next slide.
Oh, is the next slide? Well, okay, there we go, perfect. It's
Hi,
like,
Tom.
it's like we planned it. Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council, Tom Calico. I'm gonna put in a plug for a stool for future. You mind? If you can fit that into the budget, that would be good. So I apologize to folks over there. I have to shade to one side so you can see me. As Matt mentioned, we were engaged to do a but-for determination report for the Clare Crossing project. A few housekeeping items. This study was done to determine the likelihood that the project would determine whether the project would be built without the requested incentive. We considered the project as it's proposed. We considered it in the current market. I always feel it's important to note that Baker Tilly does not have any financial interest in the project. Also, sometimes we get confused that this is a feasibility analysis. A proper feasibility analysis considers the trade area and the ability of the trade area to absorb the project. That was outside the scope of this project. So I always want to make sure people understand it's not a true feasibility study. We essentially assume the developer's assumptions that the trade area can absorb the proposed uses. And like any forecast, actual results can vary. We prepared our original but-for analysis back in May of 2024. This project's been on the table for a while, as projects often are. There are 2 notable changes from the May report. The actual total project cost increased from around $18.8 million to $22.9 million,
primarily because of the cost of public infrastructure. And the CID term was originally assumed at 15 years. 15 years. Now it's assumed as up to 22 years. So the shorter of when the reimbursable project costs are paid, or 22 years, whichever occurs first. Quick overview of the project. It's a mixed-use development on 58 acres at the site that Matt just cited. 27.5 acres of that is planned for commercial development, 18 acres for residential. 12.5 acres is going to be unusable, primarily because of stormwater needs and public infrastructure. Just a few more words about the commercial and residential uses. There are plans for this. It's important to note that in this case, the developer is what we generally term a land developer. They are going to acquire the site. They're going to do grading, some rough grading. They will do what we refer to generally as the horizontal infrastructure, roads, water lines, sewer lines, electric lines, gas lines, that kind of thing. All that will to create buildable pad sites. And then they will sell those buildable pad sites to third parties who will actually develop them. So it's important to keep that in mind because, as Matt pointed out to me earlier, there's some discrepancy. If you look back kind of at our prior report and what you're seeing now, there's some discrepancy about exactly what those commercial and residential uses will be. And I think it's important to recognize that within what's permittable on commercially zoned ground and what's permittable and appropriate zoning for residential, there could be some variance from even what we were talking about today. So that explains some of the variance if you kind of look back to 24 to today as to why there's some differences. The assistance requested, as Matt noted, a community improvement district, 1% add-on sales tax. So as you all I'm sure understand, this is an add-on sales tax to the sales taxes that are already charged within the geographic area of the Clare Crossing. So it will be an add-on sales tax up to 22 years, which will be then used to reimburse the developer for eligible costs. And then they're also requesting a special benefit district. This will be used, this is a tool, commonly used tool in Kansas, whereby cities issue general obligation bonds to fund public infrastructure. Those bonds are then repaid from special assessments that are levied on the land. In this case, be levied on the Clare Crossing project. Notable here is that the developer, depending on how quickly they sell the land to third parties, may or may not pay any of those special assessments. But certainly, when the land is conveyed, the third parties who buy those pad sites will then be responsible for paying those special assessments. All right, quick rundown on our approach. We asked for the developer for a pro forma, sources and uses, pro forma for the project. In the pro forma, they have costs and they have revenues. So the first thing we do is we look at those costs, and we're looking at those costs for reasonableness, understanding that this is a forecast, right? We don't have the benefit of looking in the rearview mirror and seeing what actually happened. So we look at those costs and gauge their reasonableness. We do the same thing for project revenues. In this case, the principal project revenues are the pad site sales. We then consider a hypothetical sale of the asset in year 10. Why do we do that? Because allowing us to do that, that is just general convention in the financial world, how you attach a value to an asset. Because you're producing a revenue-producing asset, we can then look at, okay, year 10, what would that asset sell for? And that allows us to assign a value, which then allows us to make some comparisons. We determine a rate of return without an incentive. Because remember, the whole idea here is to answer the question, but for the incentive, would the project likely happen? So we're focusing on the without incentive return. And then we compare that internal rate of return to benchmarks that we have available. We're very fortunate in that we have something called the PwC Investor Survey, which quarterly surveys investors and asks them the question, what level of return would you need to justify investing in certain types of projects? All right, so looking first at the costs, the expenses. We've listed them up here on the table. We've got estimated project costs of $18 million. Now, keep in mind, $4.9 million of that is going to be financed through the special benefit district. So essentially, that cost gets passed to others. So it's an $18 million project plus the 4.9. And That doesn't count the investment that will be made by the third parties, right? All those third parties will come in, they will build buildings, millions and millions of dollars. So, but we don't know exactly what those will be, and we don't know exactly how much they will cost, but it's important to point out that you're looking at a total project of 22, 23 million plus probably, quite a bit, plus certainly quite a bit more. We asked when we got the pro forma for basis of assumptions for the land value. We were fortunate enough to receive a third-party independent appraisal from Valbridge Property Advisors dated in 2023 that gave a value for the land. Today, that value, the value that's assigned, is a bit below what we're showing here in their budget, but keep in mind it's a 2023 appraisal, so there certainly has been land appreciation. So we feel that the cost is reasonable. On the public infrastructure, which is the other big part of the budget, those were based on engineers' estimates that the developer's engineer provided. We have the benefit that your public works staff looked those over and found them to be reasonable. So we feel pretty good that the assumptions on costs are reasonable. Turning to revenues, it's a little bit vaguer picture. The developer's assumptions about the pad site sales have evolved a bit from when the project first started. I've listed here, this actually goes back to the original 2024 report and shows what the assumptions at that time were as far as values go. And you'll see that the assumed asking prices tend to be on the lower end of the CoStar range, CoStar being our source for land values. We also see that the developer's return is highly dependent on the commercial pad sales, not so much on the residential. Simple reason, there's a whole lot more commercial ground, right? So oftentimes when we don't have as good, as definitive information as we'd like, we will do a sensitivity analysis. And what we showed through the sensitivity analysis is that for the developer, the sale prices of 125% of the original pro forma estimate would be required to meet the average market rate of return, and sale price in excess of 150% of the pro forma to exceed the upper boundary of the PwC survey. So we can see that it would take quite a bit higher costs than what were assumed in the pro forma to actually get to the point where the project could be done, reasonably could be expected to be done without the incentive. And keep in mind, and this is important, keep in mind that this land will also be burdened by the special assessments, which tend to put a real collar on what you can sell land for. All right, so this graph, it's kind of faint, but I hope you can make it out. The grayed box represents the PwC range. So anything that falls within that range would be considered, a reasonable return in the marketplace. And you can see that the without assistance return falls below outside of that range at 5.5%. So without an incentive, estimated return is about 5.5%, not low enough, not high enough to make it feasible in the current marketplace. With the return, falls comfortably just below kind of the halfway through the range at around 10%. So getting to kind of the conclusions, the cost assumptions appear reasonable. The revenue assumptions are evolving, but with the sensitivity analysis, we show that it would take quite a bit higher costs or higher prices, higher revenues, in order to make the project reasonable in the current marketplace. The most significant challenge to this project, I can sum it all up, the most significant challenge to this project is the extremely high cost of public infrastructure, right? We're building internal infrastructure. There's also a $3.5 million contribution to the external roads. That just is a huge burden, and so it's not surprising to us. I don't think it's surprising to anybody that the project meets the but-for test. With that, I'd be happy to respond to any questions.
Well, thank you. That was a really good presentation. I've never had the whole presentation presented like that, especially in a public forum. So hopefully that was beneficial to everyone out there.
Great.
So I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Is there any more to Matt?
One thing I wanted to add is we also have QTAC Rock here who helped put together the development agreement, so that you're to help answer any questions you might have on that.
Is it okay if I approach the podium?
Yes.
My name is Bill Fleming. I'm the attorney for the developer, and the developer, Brian Schumann's, he's representative of the developers here. So we don't have a presentation, but if you have questions for us, we'd be happy to answer any questions. And I just wanted to thank Jim and David and Rick and Matt and everybody that's helped us with this process so far. So thank you.
We'll start with any public comment for this item. Who would like to come forward? Seeing none, is council questions, comments?
Oh, I do. I think there's a couple of questions, and I think that the before analysis definitely does highlight some current risks that are involved. Obviously, the increase in cost due to the public infrastructure on the external side is what's kind of driving this. My question here is, when it comes to reimbursement, let's say there's a lag in the process of picking up these, getting these particular lots, these pad sites sold. Obviously, that puts a burden on the developer because of the fact that they're going to be picking up the special assessments in lieu of a purchaser for those particular parcels. I'm a little concerned about that, given that we are seeing increased costs already. Is there a backstop on that? I think we usually ask for a letter of credit or something like that.
Hi, Rick McConnell with QTAC Rock.
Hey, Rick.
I'll split the cost of a box or a stool with you, Tom. I'm kind of in the same boat. But we're concerned about the same thing.
Yeah.
And in any kind of special assessment type financing or incentive, you are worried about, proliferation of ownership to spread that burden. I think that our goal in this development agreement, recognizing the challenges that Tom talked about, which are that we've got sort of the horizontal developer and the vertical yet to come, some maybe somewhat identified, was to make sure that we all just moved in sort of baby steps together. And so we're not obligated to build off-site roads until that money is there. Okay, so that's kind of step one. And I know that they're part of the CIP anyway, but maybe not this part of it. So we don't have to take that on until the money to do it is there. So we got that piece of it taken care of. But then you move to the special benefit district, which I think is your principal concern. And I'll just say for many years I lived in Parkville, Missouri, which if you've read some of the newspaper stories about what neighborhood improvement districts did over there, I'm very cognizant of these issues of cities getting stuck with that kind of debt. And so we want to make sure that doesn't happen, because that's exactly what happened in Parkville. So I think we have several preconditions to special benefit district obligations being issued. First, we have to have the CID formed. Okay, because that's going to be a supplemental source to pay debt service. It may not be particularly helpful if nothing's built, of course, but it's there. We have to receive the money we need for the off-site roads. That has to be in place. And then we have to have leases, land sale contracts, letters of credit, some combination of the above, that Tom will evaluate and we will evaluate and the staff will evaluate to make sure that we're comfortable that those SBD obligations can be repaid. And so what that has to sort of demonstrate is that the development is moving along and that diversification of ownership is going to occur, so we don't have, one person paying the whole lug. And ultimately the danger there is the lug's so big it makes more sense to just walk away from it, give the city the land, and then, you're in the development business, which I know you don't want to be in.
We've already been down that road. It's not a good one.
No, it's not. It's not. And so this agreement is specifically designed to make sure that those protections are in place, that we get a chance to fully evaluate where we are before those obligations would be issued. And I think it is very much a balancing act with a development of this type, which is sort of, we want to facilitate but not backstop, and ultimately with SBD obligations, of course, we are the backstop. We just want to make sure that never comes into play. So your concerns are noted and were very much on our minds as we put this together.
Yeah, so as I'm looking at this, I'm timelining it in my head based on other developments that have happened in the area. The first one, obviously, is the GO bonds have to be issued in order to be able to manage the external infrastructure. That GO infrastructure bond is going to be financed through the development of a benefit district. Is
That's correct.
And once those expenses have been incurred, assessments are starting on those
correct.
bonds.
That's
okay?
right.
Because they have to pay back the bonds.
Right.
Okay. If there's no development immediately, CID is not on the table because there is no sales tax on an empty plot of land.
That's right.
Okay. So it behooves the developer to be expeditious in their moves to get something on that land and get it earning some capital as quickly as possible. So
Yes.
For their sake, because they don't want to have to pay that special
No,
assessment.
they don't want to. That's
and
right.
for
That's
the
right.
sake of the development's success, because without buildings, you don't have a CID that works at all.
Yeah.
So I'm just wanting to make sure that, I trust that the developer has thought these things through and that they are very committed to trying to get this project as developed, implemented as quickly as possible. I just wanted to make sure that all parties are very much aware of.
A great point, and I think one that Matt brought up was just a concern. Well, let's make sure they're not expecting us to do these SBD obligations, this fall or something. And so
Sure.
we've talked about that, and it's not going to come till next year. They're ready to go out and get started
Yeah.
on some of the preliminary work before they would even come in and ask for that. So I think we were also talking about this sort of somewhat laughable term of the P3 or the public-private part. You know what? We've all been doing that for years. So if you want to call it that, that's fine. These deals are partnerships. And I think what we found in negotiating this is that the requests of the developer have been reasonable. I think we've been comfortable sort of working with them to put this together. We might have to come back to you with an amendment. In fact, it's not unlikely. The project will evolve, and we have a little bit of flexibility in the agreement just to let that happen because we know that it will. So I think we're going in sort of eyes wide open, but I really do appreciate your comments, and I can certainly assure you that was sort of top on our list of things to address.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Yep.
Can I just address that comment
Yes,
1 second? Would you
absolutely.
mind? Okay, please. I don't know what the rules of order are here, so I don't want to.
That's okay, Bill.
Violate any rules, but, I think your point's obviously a good one, that these are general obligation bonds being issued by the city. The city wants to make sure they're repaid. What I would point out is we've got about 18 million invested in the project, plus another $3.5 million invested in the project. The $3.5 million will be secured by either cash or a letter of credit, so you don't really have to worry about that piece of it, but the developer will have that kind of money invested. And then
Sure.
the special assessments, as you know, are assessed along with your ad valorem property taxes. So if you have a lender, or if you have a purchaser of the property that then builds a building, they're behind. That's like they're first in line to get paid, even before the lender. They take priority over any mortgage or anything like that. So there's a very high likelihood that those specials gets paid especially in this particular case where you've got such a significant amount of investment in the property itself, plus the fact that once it's developed and you've got buildings and infrastructure there, then they're likely to get paid because nobody's going to walk away from, if they build a $5 million building, they're not going to walk
Sure.
away from not having to pay a $10,000 a year assessment type of thing. So, but your point is very good in terms of making sure that the project can support that.
I had just kind of picked up on the comment that was made by our friend at Kutak Rock that we are, this is going to put a ceiling, a cap on your ability to market those parcels because of that special assessment. And so That's my biggest
Well,
concern.
yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, you think about people buying residential homes. A lot of times you'll have special assessments as part of your residential home.
Yep.
And then you just like, at some point they figure out, oh, by the way, you got to pay an extra X dollars a year, you know, which it seems like always comes as a surprise because they don't read their actual title report to find out about it or whatever reason. But anyway, but yeah, it is an issue, but it's actually still an advantage to the buyers, the lot buyers, because they're really getting, you know, a little bit less expensive lot than they'd otherwise get. And so there is an advantage there if you look at it that way, although, you know, there is a liability that you're assuming when you take on that responsibility as well. But for overall, it's still an advantage to the project and to the lot buyer to have the special in place. So
Great.
But thank you. Thank you for your time.
Looking forward to the project. Man.
Do we have any questions, Steve?
Nope, I'm done. Probably talk your ear off.
If no further questions, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Shoot, second McNair, we adopt resolution 2176, resolution approving the execution and delivery of a development agreement for a development project within the city Clare Crossing.
Councilmember Wee.
Yes.
Councilmember Shute.
Yes.
Councilmember McNair.
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin.
Yes.
Councilmember Deaton.
Yes.
Resolution 2176 passes. Welcome you into the community. Thank you. Okay, that concludes our regular business. We will move to council updates. Start, Gons.
Yes, as you may know, this will be my last city council. And if you allow me, I'd like to say a few things.
No, sorry.
5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
I'm teasing, of course. Go ahead.
First, I would like to thank the City of Gardner for the opportunity to work and serve the community for the past 10 years. Second, I'd like to thank the current and former mayors, city councils, administration for their unconditional support and trust to direct the utilities department. And last but not least, to my staff, city departments for their support, teamwork, cooperation that allowed to improve utility services to the community.
Thank you, Gons. I can't believe it's been 10 years. That's flown by.
Quick.
It did, yeah. We'll miss you. We'll certainly miss your knowledge. It's an incredible amount of knowledge in the industry. That's gonna be hard to come by. So, thank you. Okay. Dave?
I have nothing for you tonight, other than if you have discussion about the item that came up as part of public presentation.
Yes, let's see. We could discuss that regarding the mosquito. Yeah, yes. If you'd like to comment on that, that'd be great.
So what I will say, and this may be a combination with the police department also, the speaker tonight was also at our Planning Commission meeting previously. As a result of the Planning Commission meeting and the discussion there, we did pass this item on to police department in our land and structure maintenance code. Under our property maintenance codes that have been adopted, there is a requirement regarding the not allowing for the breeding of insects as a result of stagnant water, ponds, swimming pools, so on and so forth. I don't have a specific report as to where that may have gone. I did give it to Tori, I guess it was last week, just last week, Tuesday, so I'm assuming she's been following up on it. I don't know if you wanted to comment on it, Kelly, or not.
This is the first I'm hearing about it. I will gladly follow up first thing in the morning with Tori and find out where we're at.
So-
I'll also provide you my business card tonight if you'd like, sir, so I can have direct contact with you if you're good with that.
I'm sorry, I can't
I'll give
hear
you-
you. I was in a car accident a couple of years
No
ago.
worries. I will give you my business card tonight.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
So that has been passed along to code enforcement, should be being worked on. As part of this, just so that you're aware, many times with our stormwater requirements and things, we do have requirements for detention ponds and basins. Many of those are dry detention, dry basins throughout the year. as has been noted, a lot of people will say, well, those don't look like they're filled very often. I can assure you that a few weeks ago with our rainfall, a number of those ponds were filled but did their jobs. So that was important to note. But again, those are primarily dry basins. Developers in this community do have the option if they want to provide wet basins. The place that they are truly discouraged is around the airport, New Century Airport in particular. That's part of their review process, and many times will add notes to the plats that those properties have in regard to not having those wet basins. At the Planning Commission meeting, the speaker did bring up the idea of not allowing for wet basins. The approach currently would be that they are allowed if the developer prefers or the neighborhood is there, but a maintenance agreement has to be provided as part of that effort, and they do have to abide by the ordinances in place that we have when it comes to the maintenance and treatment of those facilities. So I just wanted to tell you that's the current state of the ordinances and the regulations that are in place. If there's a desire to look at that further, we certainly can do that. But
I mean, I think as long as they are aware of that and sign that and we follow up on it to ensure things of that nature don't.
yeah, I think the hardest part here, and we did identify at least 2 HOAs in this instance that are in this area. Many times it's a matter of the HOA. It's usually an HOA property. And so finding that HOA contact and the individuals that are to keep that up, so.
Okay, thank you. Kellen, Public Works?
Nothing further tonight?
Deputy Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To those that spoke earlier, I'm happy to get business cards afterwards and meet with you briefly, just to talk about the issues you brought up tonight, if you want to meet with me afterwards. Sworn in, one today, one last week, so we have 2 new members of the police department. Obviously, the fair last week went pretty well. Thanks to everyone for coming out. Gave away almost 600 hot dogs-ish last Tuesday. So I think that's all I have tonight.
Awesome, thank you. Renee?
I didn't have anything.
Matt, Finance?
Just let you know, my staff's been working hard to get the traffic budget book together. Expected to be up later this week, so the public has an opportunity to view it several weeks in advance of the public hearing.
Excellent, thank you.
Nothing further tonight.
City Attorney?
Nothing from me.
Administrator?
Yeah, I want to start by thanking Gons. He's been an incredible member of our staff. He's going to be missed. It's a lot of knowledge walking out the door, so good luck. He's going to Dominican Republic. We looked into the rental license program, and one of the first things that we were able to determine is that by state law, we cannot, if we have a rental license program, we cannot go inside the dwelling. So it would just be an exterior inspection, which really has limited usefulness. And with over 1,000 rental units, even if we charge $30, we would never ever recover cost on the person that we would need to do that. I mean, it would essentially be a full-time job to do that. So it's really not worth exploring any further. The solicitation. So we just visited that before we got rid of the permits. One of the issues with the permits was that we were doing self-reporting background checks, which is, I think, gives people a false sense of security because we don't do a full background check. But I thought the presentation was excellent. I mean, we could do everything she brought up with permitting and having city permit so that people can see a visual permit that they're supposed to be there. I mean, those are all things we can explore and bring back to the council as options if everybody's interested in revisiting that topic.
And I was going to ask if she hasn't already, if she could email that presentation. So yeah.
Absolutely.
And then the Cherokee, I mean, that's obviously been Cherokee, 199th Street. It's something that, we put as much focus on as we have the capability to do. We're just going to have to, revisit that, and just have people there as often as possible. So,
I mean, I know this has been an issue for a while, and I know we've stepped up enforcement.
and there is a trucking company on that street. It's the pass-through trucks that are prohibited to
It's
be.
Cherokee and Central.
Center Street.
Center, yeah. And that's all I've got.
Thank you. Councilman McNair?
Couple things. First off, Deputy Chief, wanted to thank you and your staff for an outstanding job at County Fair in the extreme heat the first couple of days.
Thank you, sir.
Excellent job. Rest of the city council, rest of the city staff, same thing. Guns, you're one of them. They broke the mold and you will be severely missed. Good luck and Godspeed, sir. I guess, on the solicitation permits, I'm not sure we're ever gonna find something that's gonna please everyone. And, where it's at right now, the best thing we can do is report it. If someone's knocked on your door and it's a violation of state law, report it, and they'll get cited. All you have to do is call the cops, call the police, and, report it. Violation. I'm done.
Okay. Councilman Shute?
Yeah, just a couple of things. Gons, I know you took a little bit of a step down to come to us. When you came here 10 years ago, I was on the council and I spent a lot of time with you as mayor, and we overhired when we brought you in. You have a vast array of knowledge, especially on the electric side, and you helped us in a jam because back then, in 2015, 2016, we had issues around our electric utility that were somewhat chaotic. That's when Bill left, and it was a little bit of a up in the air type of thing. And you came in and helped to stabilize things and helped to keep us running and improving. And so I wanted to thank you for your contribution to that. I don't think that we would have been able to find very many people that could have stepped in and have helped to consolidate and grow our utilities like you've been able to do. And although your experience as electric, you have really helped us as well on the water and wastewater side of things. And so I think it goes without saying, I think you're going to get a lot of thanks from this governing body this evening. Godspeed to you as you go to the Dominican Republic. I know you've got a big job down there, but your expertise is made for big jobs. So good luck, and hopefully you won't forget your time in our little burg anytime soon. So thank you. As for the solicitations, thank you, Ashley, for coming out. I appreciate you making the time to do this. I wish we had more citizens that would take the initiative to come out and speak on things that concern them. It does make a difference. And I do believe that the lack of a license requirement for solicitors has actually opened the door for bad actors and people that deal in bad faith to come into the community. I personally have seen a significant increase in our neighborhood of solicitors that are extremely aggressive. Like they'll come to our door, they'll knock 2 or 3 times, and then when they don't get an answer and they see cars in the driveway, they'll go so far as to go into our backyard. They have gone into our backyard to see if there are people in our house. That is absolutely uncalled for in any definition. That's considered trespassing, and that is not allowed. It's not tolerated. It shouldn't be tolerated. Although it makes it difficult for us to, obviously the self-reporting aspect of background checking and things like that, I know that's difficult. But what the licensing piece does is a deterrent against bad actors. Those bad actors will find another community that might be a little bit less lenient, a little bit more lenient on their particular policies. Since we dispensed with the license requirement, I believe that we've become one of the more lenient locations in Johnson County, and we're a growing community, so it really makes us as Ashley said, a target for bad actors, and I don't want to see that in our community. So I'm absolutely in favor of the provisions that she brought forth tonight, and I hope that the governing body will take those up as well. Last thing is about the mosquitoes. I live in South Gardner. One of the ponds that the gentleman talked about was the pond south of Aspen Creek, which is choked with algae and slime, sludge, whatever you want to say on the top of that pond. It is the responsibility of the HOA in those circumstances to be able to maintain and manage those ponds. I will also say that because of the development that's been happening south of that particular piece of property, it is getting some runoff from that development, which is actually exacerbating the issue a little bit. So the best thing I think that we need to do is just get in touch with the folks who are with those HOAs and let them know that those ordinances will be enforced. That's all I had.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Councilman Ween?
Thank you. I want to say, first of all, thank you for all who came up and spoke. I know that getting out on a Monday evening on a beautiful Monday evening, by the way, to come out and speak to us is maybe not the highlight of your week, but we do appreciate it. We need people to come out from sometimes behind the keyboards and to tell us something maybe we don't necessarily want to hear. Really appreciate your comments on the no soliciting. I know that we just recently discussed this, I don't know, maybe a year ago, maybe. So interested in looking at it again. And then finally, I'd like to say, Gons, thank you for your service to the city. I spoke to one of our former mayors just recently. He brought up your name and had nothing but glowing things to say. So really appreciate everything you've done, and good luck.
Thank you. Council Vice President?
Gons, thank you so much for your service to the city, and best of luck in your future endeavors. It sounds like it's going to be a lot warmer than maybe not this week or last week, but you know, overall. Yeah. PD, thank you guys so much for the National Night Out, everything you did with the fair, but of course, when you plan National Night Out, so many weeks/months in advance, you don't know that you picked the absolute hottest day of the fair to do it, but your team stood up and you grilled those hot dogs and you served them. Thank you so much, because that's a great thing to our community. And also thanks for the Gatorade. It was sorely needed for me that night. Todd, thank you for doing the fair booth again. I really like that we have that booth for the city, for our citizens to come, and you know, the few people that stop by and just want to chat, or just putting us out there, making us more accessible. I really like that you had that idea and have continued to do that. The soliciting permits, yeah, the selling point for me on the permits thing was quite simply the background checks and lack thereof. I don't want people to have a false sense of security. I'm happy to relook at it. I think one of the good ideas that Ms. Montgomery had was the communication, because if somebody walked in my backyard, I really hope you called the police when that happened, because if we're not calling the police, it's really hard to enforce something. And so making people aware of how to report the issue, because even if we have permits, if they're coming outside of hours, if they're knocking on doors, all of the communication and enforcement is the same. It starts with that first phone call. So whether they have a permit or not, it is still the same course of action if they are breaking our violations. So getting that communication out there on how to, or who to call, what number to call, things like that. Because I get it, nobody wants to call 911 for a solicitor at their door. So knowing our non-emergency numbers and things like that could be really helpful. And I'd like to see, if we do have that come back out, I'd like to see some numbers on how many calls we have actually gotten for that, to see how many people have been upset enough to make those phone calls.
Yes, ma'am.
And then last thing, school starts next week, I think, or the week after. I don't know. I don't
Next
have
week.
a kid in
Next
school
today.
anymore, but it's coming right up. So school zones are going to come back. Please watch that. Please slow down. Watch for kids in the crossing. You've got kids that have never walked to school before that are coming out for the very first time. So let's just be extra cautious and send those kids off to school safely. And that is it.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Council President?
Gons, you showed up, and I was president of EUB, and we had to make it a UAC, and we worked through all that, and you did a great job. And then everything's been running swimmingly. I always enjoyed your reports about our time down, how little it is. And that was a testament to top-down leadership. So always appreciated all your help and ability to explain things in meetings. So thank you very much for all of your service, both that we saw and didn't see. And good luck to you in the Dominican Republic. As far as everyone that spoke, yes, I can't applaud that more. Everybody up here knows that I hate to say the same thing twice after everybody else has, but yes, if you don't come, we don't know. Okay, it's that simple, and there will be 500 comments on Facebook, and 2 people will give you a call or an email. Okay, so it may seem like it's in everybody's face, but if you don't come, we don't know. So thank you for doing that. To Mr. King, yes, Cherokee's been a problem. Probably always will be a problem. We do our best to get PD over there when we can. Obviously, they're limited on how often they can sit there, but we'll do our best to revisit. Sounds like everything's in the process for mosquitoes, so I'm not going to belabor that. And Ashley, I thought you had a lot of great points. When we talked about the solicitation thing, you know, I was in favor of getting rid of the permits because I really think that there was a false sense of security with the background check, and I think there's still going to be plenty of people that don't go get the permit in the first place. They're going to jump in, they're going to knock on your door, and they're going to leave. So as much as I am good with us looking into this again, and there's just some great suggestions, I don't want everybody to get their hopes up that it's going to be a night and day difference, that all of a sudden, poof, they're all gone and they don't come here anymore, because I firmly believe that the vast majority of them are going to continue to do what they're doing, even if they had the permit or they never get the permit in the first place. And what makes it hard is it's kind of like when we had fireworks, right? You can call PD, but if they're gone, how are you going to catch them? So not saying we shouldn't try, so let's revisit it, but yeah, this one's a tough nut to crack. So that's all I have.
And I liked a lot of the points you made, and I like the badges too, and with all the Ring cameras nowadays and doorbell cameras, I mean, I think that's, you can just ask them, hey, do you have your badge? And if he says no, and you've got him on camera, I mean, I think you can start to put a little bit of teeth into it, maybe, possibly. So, but I'm looking forward to some of this coming back. So, other than that, Gons again, thank you, and enjoy the Dominican Republic. And I don't know if we will have to go down there, and if there's issues, we need to
have a field trip.
Yeah, address. And
I'll volunteer to fly down.
Fly down.
As a group, city.
But other than that, anything further? So entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion Deaton, second McNair. We adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained?